Hello YouTube, welcome to Dave Green's Street View Show. My guest today is Eleanor Tiernan, stand-up comedian from Ireland. You may know her from Stuart Lee's alternative comedy experience on Comedy Central. We're going to look at various different places in her life now on my show, Dave Green's Street View Show. Hello Eleanor, how are you doing?
Hello Dave.
Hello.
I'm very well, thank you.
You ready to look at your hometown?
For sure, yeah.
So let's go down to Eleanor's hometown.
Uh-huh.
So where am I looking at? What is this?
So what you're looking at is the main road, which is near my house. It's a place called Athlone. Athlone, which is, I suppose, a test for the local people to stay because we have problems pronouncing THs.
I can't say my THs either. So
Really?
that's perfect. Maybe I'm from Athlone. I say Fs.
You say Athlone, of course.
Athlone,
yeah,
Athlone. Yeah,
yeah.
I can't say anything. I say month.
Athlete.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Athlete. Well, we say we just leave the T out altogether, so it's Athlone.
Alone.
Mm.
All right, sounds like you're saying alone.
Alone, yeah. Maybe subconsciously we are. So that's a neighbour's house, right nearby us. Yeah. So you're still at the civilised part of the neighbourhood that I'm from. If you keep going down that particular road, you'll see a little post box there on the right hand side there. Yeah,
This thing.
that thing there.
They're green there.
That's a post box. Yeah, and
Looks more like a grave.
Yeah,
Grave
there's a
to
lot of similarity
dead letters.
between mail and death, really, though, isn't there? So I would have stood when I was getting the bus to school. That's where I would have kind of hung out and waited
really?
for the bus to come
There's
by.
no bus stop. You just had to.
No, we just we were able to remember where to stand. We didn't need a sign to tell us. So that was the designated point.
Okay.
Where I would be collected. So you're about to go kind of off road
down here, yeah.
down this little track where you get closer to the homestead. If you keep going straight on, yeah, big dog in that house on the left hand side that kind of made me very frightened. Yeah, the bushes. And that's
Wow, this is pretty
rural. It's pretty rural, and the road was. You've sparked a memory there now. The road was really bad always with potholes and really difficult to drive or cycle on. But my dad had the job back in those days of fixing the potholes.
Yeah.
It was his professional
really
life.
Well,
he was
just
an
on
engineer,
that road or everywhere?
but not on our road in a completely different area. So
Yeah.
people would come to say, "You're supposed to be able to fix potholes. Why don't you fix your own road?"
Oh man, that's the
and
worst.
he didn't say. It was like, "I work for a different council. That's not how it works.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
just
That's
don't
the
go out."
equivalent of
and fix-"
like you're a comedian. Tell me a joke.
Pretty much, yeah.
But with potholes, yeah.
So I was.
So which way am I
aware
going,
of
by
that
the way,
stuff.
up here?
So you're going right there up that particular hill. That's actually my cousin's house
Really?
in there. Yeah. They're family members there. And straight ahead now you'll be able to see a lake there. And you're going over
This
a bridge over
looks
a
nicer.
railway
This
track.
is very atmospheric. Oh, and
Yeah.
this is. You used to hang out here as a kid?
That was my catcher in the rye days, yeah, when I was
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
hang out and
Of course,
smoke
there's something
cigarettes.
very romantic about that scene, isn't there? Like
Uh,
I love railway bridges.
They are quite picturesque. And straight ahead, so we're going to go right at the bottom of this. We're going down a hill here.
Down here, yeah. So what,
Yeah.
yeah, how does it feel? Like when you come back here, what sort of memories does it bring back?
It's great. It's quite a safe place. Everybody, there's kind of no real tension. You know, it's you can walk everywhere. It's really dark at night.
Yeah.
There, you know, there's very little light. Yeah, and just knowing everybody who lives in those houses. That's road is normally
going now?
impassable. Yeah, you're just following the railway track down
So
beside my house.
Geographically, we're like right in the centre of Ireland, right?
Centre of Ireland, so we're running parallel to a big river. So what you would have seen beforehand was a really long river that kind of runs down through the centre of Ireland, and this is just like right in the middle town. It's kind of like the Leicester. I would call it the Leicester of Ireland.
The Leicester of Ireland.
Yeah, like medium-sized town, but without the.
It's a very specific reference. I don't even know what the Leicester of.
Yeah.
Why the Leicester? Why the Leicester of Ireland?
I think just proportionally, in terms of it's a medium-sized town in the centre.
Yeah, yeah.
That's really not very known for very much.
Cool. Yeah. The Leicester of Ireland.
Yeah.
So what did you do as a kid? Did you used to like?
Yeah.
Play in these fields.
Cycle around those roads when they were passable. They'd often be completely saturated with muck and puddles. Cycle to my friends' houses. We might get down as far as the lake, and go for a swim. But yeah, mostly go to each other's houses and form gangs even.
Gangs, really?
Yeah, kind of, take sides. And there was heroes and villains and all that.
Okay. So you went, when you say gangs, you weren't like dealing drugs or anything?
There was no drugs.
No beatdowns?
No. That came a bit later, but never to any great extent either.
So were you like a rebellious teenager or not really?
I mean, I was... I probably... I was never kind of in trouble with the law or anything like that, but I felt very confined by the expectation that was, just kind of be good and go to school and do your study for exams.
Okay.
And that, yeah.
So did your parents like put a lot of pressure on you to be like that? Or?
Yeah, they wouldn't have really kind of tolerated much in the line of, they weren't religious or anything now, but they didn't want to be bothered by you not doing, as well as you could in school.
Yeah.
They wanted to get you off.
Okay. And when did the
get you going in life?
And when did the stand-up come in? When did you get into the?
So I lived here until I did my leaving cert.
Be careful not to touch that, just because it will make a noise.
Sure thing. So yeah, I lived in this area until I did my leaving cert, which is the equivalent of the A levels in Ireland.
What do you call it?
The leaving certificate.
Leaving certificate.
Leaving,
okay.
As in you're about to leave the education system, and I moved then to a place called Galway, where I went to university.
Shall we look at that?
Yeah, let's do that. Yeah. So Galway's on the west coast of Ireland.
Where would I look?
To visit where I was, you could, like, if I was mostly in pubs in Galway when I was there. So, let's go to a pub called or a nightclub called GPO.
GPO, yeah.
Yeah.
Galway Post Office.
Post Office coming up. What's
just
going on there?
Yeah. The post office.
I wonder, is it still called the same thing?
It might have changed its name.
If you look up maybe Drum, that might be
Drum, Galway.
Maybe put Bar in as well.
Drum Bar.
If it's still there.
No, I don't think it's come up.
No.
Is that like a main area you used to?
It's actually where the post office is exactly where the GPO is.
Oh, right, cool.
Yeah.
Was that why it was called? That must be why it's called then.
Yeah, I think so. That street is exactly where it is.
Cool. So what was happening in your life when you lived in Galway?
Yeah, so I went to college to study civil engineering, which I had no interest or understanding of at the time. I think I did the course because it was the degree my dad had done, and I kind of thought, that's familiar. I'll not have to.
So you could come home and fix those potholes, right?
Yeah,
Be like,
yeah,
Dad, this is how it's done.
this whole kind of narrative that was coming from a very young age. But if you turn around,
this
if you go
a grim day in Galway.
You see, this is it.
Galway.
Galway.
This is pretty typical, yeah.
It's so wet. That's a nice day in Galway. Actually, it's so windy and stormy,
it's so grey.
And rainy. That's the main square of the town. And I came to quite a difficult time in my life because I was really doing this quite a hard course in college, but I wasn't particularly interested in it, and I didn't know how to cope with that situation. And I spoke to my parents about it, and at the time, I suppose they were quite serious about school and all those things at the time. So they were like, we don't care if you're not interested in doing this. We're not interested in what we do. You know, you're going to do it. So I stayed with the course, but it became really, really hard because I just kept going out and boozing every night to deal with the stress that I was under, and I managed to basically scrape by my degree in the end, which I might have been, I don't know if that was a good thing.
At least you did it though, right?
I did it, yeah. I mean, and yeah.
You got it though, man.
I got my degree, yeah. You got it, and I kind of now I can. It was the difference. Like, I was engaged with the course, but because I was just being given problems to solve, but I didn't realise what was supposed to happen at the end. Like, you're supposed to be able to design bridges and, you know, sewerage systems and make a difference for the world. But I didn't really kind of grasp that at the time. I just thought I had to work things out on paper and get the right result so I could pass the exam. But now I'm walking around and I'm seeing what civil engineers, that was the course, what civil engineers do for the world. And I'm like, wow, that was quite an opportunity back then.
You just went. So you're doing the course. You weren't engaged in it, and was something bubbling away underneath the surface that you wanted to? Did you know you wanted to be a performer? At that point,
I did, but I had no framework or no example of that. I'd never known of anybody that had done. There were no real stand-up comedians in Ireland at the time. Dave Allen, I didn't even know who he was.
That's surprising because you think of such a big heritage of comedy in Ireland.
Yeah.
But you're saying this as like a
there was no comedy circuit at the time, and a comedy club started in this particular nightclub that I was hanging out in all the time.
And where's that? Did we just walk past it?
So we kind of went past it. Yeah, if you retrace your steps, go back towards that big square that we passed, and straight ahead there, follow that bus, and then take the next turn to the right. There's going to be a street here, and this GPO nightclub, if you go straight ahead, you'll find it. It's going to be on the left hand side. We've gone too far there now. It's where that green building is, there on the left. So the grey shop front there is where it is, and that is called Carbon clearly now, but I've never known it as that. When I was in college, I socialised there loads, and then got into a good bit of debt because I was borrowing money from everybody, and I couldn't go to my parents anymore to tell them, because they thought I was studying really hard. And I ended up getting a job in the nightclub. I thought, this is great, I'll be able to work in the place, I won't have to go home and study. And then a comedy club started in that place, and I was the glass collector in the comedy club when it first began. But I still didn't think about doing stand-up. I just thought about making some cash to solve my debt problems that I had at the time. But I did see loads of comedians do like an a very early 20-minute set at the time.
Okay. Well, any like big names?
Yeah, well, Andrew Maxwell would have been there. Paul, I remember seeing Paul Tonkinson.
Okay. Yeah.
And then seeing him become really big on TV afterwards, you know, kind of like, oh yeah. That guy. I saw my cousin start there, Tommy Tiernan as well. He was just beginning at the time, so it was. I suppose there was a whole kind of scene starting to bubble up. That was happening in other towns around Ireland as well.
So why was there not a healthy comedy circuit in Ireland then? I mean, there was this gig, but you're saying generally the circuit is not so healthy.
Yeah,
considering. You know, I think that would surprise lots of people.
Yeah, I think music is really big in Ireland. As live entertainment, people just think of music.
Yeah, okay.
To go to, and there just isn't it. Like, I suppose the history of, say, here there's kind of like wartime vaudeville kind of legacy of, you know, performance happening and kind of working. We don't have a kind of a working men's club.
Yeah, okay.
Community network either, so although that infrastructure wasn't there either for stand-up comedy to begin, so it still struggles a bit, you know, like it's hard to get a club going in Ireland.
That's really surprising.
It takes a lot of effort on people's part,
because I think the Irish people, you know, the stereotype is you're known for having a good sense of humour as a culture. But do you think that almost makes it harder in some way?
There's places in Ireland it's really hard to gig because it's really hard to persuade the audience that stand-up comedy should even exist as a thing. You know, they're kind of like,
they're like,
we're
already funny.
Yeah. You want to be paid
to
be funny for. So, I think there is a certain... It's more respected as a profession here in the UK, I think, as a, you know, a professional person might come in and do a job.
Cool. So what about that? We got Dublin on here as well, haven't we?
So
Should we look at that?
Yeah, that's I lived in Dublin after my years in Galway.
Oh no, actually, let's look at your hometown, because this is the village where you grew up, isn't it?
So Athlone is a town of about 20,000 people, and I, as I said, lived close by to that until I was 18, and then for the summers when I was in college, I would have returned to Athlone and taken summer jobs. And I'm pretty good on the geography of Athlone, because as one of those jobs with the local council, as a student engineer, I had to implement a new wheelie bin system in the town, right? And they're all still there.
So you personally put these wheelie bins out?
Yeah, I went around on a truck with men, and we gave out a wheelie bin to every single household in Athlone. It was new, it was controversial. People thought this is never going to work.
So was this like big news?
It really was. Yeah. It was. There was a lot of political will against it as well. A lot of local politicians wanted things not to change and to stay the way they were. I think the reason they sent me out to do the job was because I was, people could give me stick over it, and
you're non-threatening.
Yeah, I was non-threatening.
We want that girl to do the bins.
I really couldn't do anything about their problems.
If
they had, whatever problems they had.
Yeah, you could just say, you have to speak to
talk to the manager. Yeah. Those. There was a number on all of the bins, and I would write down the number and the name of the person who had gotten the bin.
Wow.
So for every house.
Did you get to know everyone in the town? I mean, I guess it's a small town. You must know everyone anyway, right? To some extent.
To an extent, yeah. But you lose it very quickly in any of the places you live. Like, you're just plugged in when you're there, and then when you leave, you kind of big department store there. Yeah, Burgess.
Yeah.
That's where all the school uniforms and wedding outfits would be bought.
Hop down to
Burgess's. So that's the main street where people who would have been up to no good would have hung out. Teenagers.
People, not you. You're separating yourself.
Well, I kind of dallied and kind of flirted with that stuff as a teenager, but never really to the point that.
And what would that stuff be?
They might have been smoking drugs, or staying out.
Illegal cigarettes.
Yeah, pretty much that.
Do you ever go in Healing Earth? Get a couple of crystals.
That's a new a new thing in the town now. So I didn't have the benefit of that when I lived there. Healing Earth. Yeah. What can I say? It looks quite narrow, and Athlone would have been a bit of a problem in lots of people's eyes because of that, because the traffic would have been really heavy through the centre of the town for years, until it was bypassed, and then the traffic went, but so did all the custom of the if you look, there are quite a few empty properties, derelict buildings there, and that's because the traffic has been taken. There wasn't as much passing trade after that, so that's kind of what happens in a lot of these places, I think.
And is there any stereotypes about people from this area? Do you know, what do people in other parts of Ireland say about people from Athlone?
I think they would say that we're quite the accent is very flat and dull. People from Athlone talk like this. The one thing that I find a little bit frustrating about the town is that there's quite a decent sized theatre, that it holds about 400 people, and I know. And one thing that happens in the town is that there's an amateur drama festival on for about 3 weeks, and that is really well attended, and people love going to it, and people will buy tickets for that, and they're really hard to get. But when professional entertainers come to Athlone, they find it really hard to sell tickets to local people. Just won't buy tickets from professional performers, and it's as if I think that there's a slight resentment to people who have, decided to do what they love for a living, and they would kind of want to punish them.
That's fine. They just want to see.
They just want to see somebody who they know up on the stage.
And have you played there? Have you done a tour show?
No, I haven't. No, I haven't done a show in Athlone. I'm a bit afraid of it.
So that's not your own experience. That's just
other people mates of mine
that's weird.
who do stand up and plays. Yeah.
Do you have like warm feelings towards where you grew up, or were you happy to leave?
Yeah, it's a very I think it's quite a gentle sense of humour and persona to the town, and it doesn't strive to be kind of drawn attention to itself. I quite like that about it.
I mean, were you one of those people, because lots of people who grow up in small places have this kind of a yearning to escape, right? Did you have that, or?
Well, yeah. Really? I mean, I couldn't have done what I wanted to. I couldn't have done any kind of performing if I'd stayed there. So
just boarded up places.
Yeah, I mean, there's this horrible mix of really, God, it looks awful. Really derelict properties, and then also anything that's new that has been built is horrible as well. There's no thought put into it. You're in the really in the worst part of the town. Shall I show you a nicer place? Yeah.
Yeah, where do you want to go?
Yeah. Why don't you go to Sean's Bar?
In Athlone?
In Athlone, yeah. Yeah.
Like that?
Yeah. So this is a pub that I would have... Yeah, this is a lovely part of town. I can't believe we showed you St. Mel's. It's like the...
Is that where we just were?
Yeah.
Sean's Bar.
In Athlone. So Sean's Bar, this is... it's called they say it's the oldest pub in Ireland, and it would have served drinks during a big battle that was going on at that location in about 1690.
Wow.
To soldiers who were trying to defend the west side of that river that I mentioned earlier, which runs down the centre. So the English forces led by Oliver Cromwell were trying to take over the whole country. They got to this river and then a big defence was put up. So a big battle happened at that location there, because we're right beside that river, and that's the pub that they say they served drinks to those guys during the war, and then later on to me and my family.
Yeah. In your own personal war.
Yeah. With
Wow.
my folks, yeah. So that's quite a big castle there, and of course there's bloody roadworks there, showing it in another not very pretty way. If you go turn around the other way, face the other way. That's the Castle Lane is another bar, and then turn around even further. Yeah, you come up to some nice little restaurants.
These look like amazing little pubs and stuff.
Yeah.
What do you feel about the phenomenon of Irish pubs around the world?
I think it's quite a clever thing that they've done. It's
so weird, isn't it, how that started?
Yeah, it's like a
It's
good
literally
brand.
everywhere you go, there's an Irish pub.
There are, yeah. But God, I was looking, there's great pubs over here. They look really appealing to me now. The pubs are just such a brilliant thing.
Yeah.
They're just, come in here, we'll make you warm, we'll make you something that's going to make you feel, we'll give you a drink that's going to make you feel good, and we're not going to ask you any awkward questions about, your life or anything. It's just so attractive a thing. We're not going to make you feel bad because you've got no money. We're still on the Connacht side of Athlone there. All these little places. It's kind of getting better, but God, it could really do so with some investment now that I look at it here.
What about Dublin? Should you have a look at Dublin?
Let's go to Dublin.
Tell me when we're there. Oh, here we go. We are there.
Yeah. I moved to Dublin after college. I got a job as an engineer. So basically I shouldn't really have gotten a job because I had like quite a poor degree, from having just scraped by. But luckily for me, a thing called the Celtic Tiger kicked in, which was a big boom to the Irish economy, and construction happened in Ireland about 1999. This happened, so there were jobs for every single engineer. It didn't matter what kind of degree you had. A year before that, only the person with like the very top results in my class would have gotten a job, and then suddenly all this money came rushing into Ireland, and all of us got jobs, even the thickest person in the class. So I moved up to Dublin with that in mind, and I started working here. I did 2 jobs. I worked in a consultant's office on what was called waste management, in the waste management department. Then I moved to another job in the civil service.
I think we've got one of your places on here.
This place, yes. So that's an office of the Irish government that I used to work in. It's called the Local Government Computer Services Board, and that was where while I was working there, that I began to do comedy in the evenings in Dublin, and I became that was a great choice for me to be working there, because when you're working for the Irish government, you can take up to 5 years off without pay, but you don't have to give up your very nice and comfortable permanent and pensionable job. They'll just put it.
Just take 5 years off.
5 years off, and they will just put it on hold for you, which I did. And once I realised I really liked doing comedy, I said, okay, I'll take the career break. And so that was waiting for me in the background all the time for the first 5 years, and I was doing stand-up.
That's almost like the ideal scenario.
Totally. Yeah. It was great, and it kind of eased the conversation between me and my folks about doing stand-up, because by the time the 5 years was up, I had kind of done
got
enough.
Like a built-in backup plan, yeah.
Yeah, but I could justify leaving without actually having to do, like, by the time I got to the end of the 5 years, leaving a permanent job didn't seem like such a stretch, because I had demonstrated I had the ability to do stand-up. It gave me the time to do that, so...
Well, did your parents give you a bit of a hard time about it? Would it have been harder if it wasn't?
Totally, yeah. It would have seemed like
they
a
were
crazy.
Like strict on the schooling.
They were really strict, and they, you know, they kind of would have always argued, you know, and I can see the you know, it is really hard doing stand up. You know, it's really you know.
Oh, it's mental. If you stop to think about it.
Yeah.
you wouldn't do it, would you?
Yeah, I know, because you've got to... anybody being self-employed is, you know, under a whole layer of extra, you know, uncertainty about their life. And you've also got the other stuff of... you've got to be on the road all the time, travelling to places, you know, that's not always going to suit you. So yeah,
it's funny, isn't it? The actual time you're doing the thing.
Yeah, but you don't think of that minuscule. When you start. When you start,
you're more
just
like a
look,
long-distance lorry
I'm
driver,
on stage.
Really.
Yeah, everybody, you know, I'm pleasing people here with what I'm doing, and it seems to be going well. You know, you don't think of the wider.
But again, it's like we were saying before, isn't it? It's how you frame it to yourself, isn't it? You've almost, when you're a little while in, you've got to remind yourself.
Yeah.
How pleased you would have been when you just started out. Do you know what I mean? To, you know.
Yeah. And my parents didn't know any of that stuff either. When they were just kind of resistant to the unusualness of it as a career choice. So they didn't know what they were talking about either.
So what's the scene like in Dublin?
So in Dublin, there's various comedy clubs. What's really good though is the Irish festival circuit. I'm going to show you. I'll show you a pub if we're going to go to Wicklow Street, and should
we walk there? Or is
we
it
can
too
walk.
Far?
Yeah.
Tell me where to go.
So if you take the left turn there, and we're going to go straight. So on our left hand side there is St Stephen's Green, a nice park. And straight ahead, then there's a junction, and if you take the right hand turn there, that's called Grafton Street, and it's like the main shopping street. What would that be the equivalent of over here? It's kind of like Oxford Street and Kensington and everything on that one street. So you've gone a little bit too far there. If we come back up and take the first right, there is a street there called Wicklow Street.
Down here?
So, straight ahead, and straight ahead, and keep going. So we're still in the fancy part of Dublin there, and straight ahead, there's going to be a pub on the corner here on the right hand side that would be called the International Bar, and that is kind of the home of stand-up, and in particular kind of alternative stand-up in Ireland.
And what would you call alternative stand-up? So
where people like Ardal O'Hanlon, a guy called Barry Murphy, and Kevin Gildee would have begun. So they would have...
So this was like kind of in the 90s, those guys kind of coming up.
Yeah.
So I think that phrase now has kind of lost the meaning a little bit, hasn't it?
I know,
alternative comedy
I'd
just
call
is
it,
the mainstream.
In the Irish genre, it would be like surreal kind of comedy. While here, it's kind of, I think, thought of as more political. And anti-Thatcher. Kind of sense. But we really don't have a kind of a political stand-up legacy in Ireland. Maybe because of our politics, I'm not really sure.
It would have been too inflammatory, I guess.
Well, we don't have a right and a left in politics in the same sense that it exists here, or at least it's not kind of as tribal, because the politics of republicanism has kind of dominated over
So
there.
you're getting your tribalism from somewhere else.
It's a different,
It'd be too complex to throw that in the mix as well, right?
Yeah. Well, we haven't gotten there yet. I think maybe
interesting
about socialism, but we've still got some, and then we've got the Catholic Church. We've got all that stuff that we're still kind of working out.
That's interesting. So it's not. So there's no Irish comedians that.
Yeah, it's more surreal kind of stuff versus kind of straight up on kind of one level. Everything I say, I mean sincerely kind of comedy versus people who are messing.
So remember, I did a gig I did that off the curb gig in Belfast, and the guy who's emceeing, I think his name was Jay Cocaine.
Sure, yeah.
He's really funny, man. But he was doing like so much stuff on the top about like the Catholic, Protestant stuff. And it was so like the references, I didn't even understand any of it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It was so like niche.
Yeah.
And I was like opening, I was like, it's like an English comedian coming on after that.
I know, yeah.
And you're like, it went okay in the end, but I was like so conscious that I was like such an outsider.
I'm sure it's
do you know what I mean?
really daunting. Yeah. It's not as bad, but it's kind of daunting for me too, because people from the Republic, I wouldn't be aware of those references that you're talking about either. And also there's a bit of a sense of having had it easy in the South.
Yeah, okay.
We wouldn't have had the same kind of conflict and war, wouldn't have grown up with that in the same way. So you kind of, like, they're just tough up there, and you know, they can stare you down quite well. So there's very different comedy scenes, but it's quite strong up in Belfast and in Northern Ireland. There's great gigs up there to do.
Yeah, well, that one was amazing. I forget what venue's that in. That's
probably the Empire.
The Empire, yeah, that was an amazing old building.
How did it go?
It was all right, yeah. I feel like I survived. You know, I wouldn't say it went well. I survived.
That sounds like it was good.
Cool. So where else have we gone here?
That's
your school. All right, this is London.
Yeah.
So this is Whitechapel. When did you move to London?
So this was 2 years ago. I was in Dublin, and I think the way a lot of UK comics maybe start off doing stand-up in a town maybe like Manchester or Newcastle or that, and then you kind of get a bit kind of adventurous and want to challenge yourself or see what it's like in a bigger city, and that I put it off for ages. I'd wanted to come for a very long time, but then 2 years ago I decided to move over. I'd in my head I was like, I'll just wait until everything is perfect and I'll have the perfect opportunity to move to London.
Oh, is that restaurant you're talking about?
Yeah, that was I live right beside that place called Tyabs.
So what when you said to your Irish comedian friends that you're moving to London, what was the response there? What's their perception of London? Were people supportive, or were they like?
Totally, yeah. But I think the perception, everybody, I think it happens here too, is like everyone's like, oh, London's so tough. It's just so tough living in London. And then you say, in what way? And they go, you'll see when you get there.
They don't actually tell you explicitly.
Yeah, so it is, and I kind of get it in a way, because it is hard to say what, it's just, you only realise, I've only really ever lived in London, but you only realise when you leave, right? And you're, oh yeah. Yeah. Like you don't have to stress about
overstimulation, and I mean it's expensive. But. Leaving
your, your front door unlocked is like, that's a really stupid thing to do in London. While
do people generally do that anywhere though?
Well, the first place we were in,
what I never understand about that is what front door. I mean, this front door I couldn't. Do you know what I mean? What front doors can you leave on? Surely front doors are designed in a way. That's why I never understand about it. I
suppose, it depends.
They're literally designed in a way that you can't leave them unlocked.
You can't.
You'd have to make an effort to put it on the latch.
Yeah. You're right. No, I see your point. I suppose it depends on your definition of locked.
That's why I've never believed this. Oh, you're talking about double lock.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. But there's no door.
I always saw that as a metaphorical thing, like leaving your door unlocked.
Yeah. You could leave your car door unlocked. although maybe
analysing it too much.
No, I think I get your point. There's no door you would not have to, you could get into without malicious intent.
Yeah.
You'd have to.
There's lots of things like
try
that.
and break
Another
it.
thing like that, I'm going way off here, but there's another thing like that when people say when they watch Doctor Who, they hid behind the sofa. Everyone says that, right?
Oh yeah.
It's a thing that you're aware of this.
Yeah.
How many people have sofas that aren't against the wall? Surely most people's sofas
I
against the wall.
know, yeah.
But yet so
Yeah.
many people claim to hide behind the sofa. Again, it's like...
did hide behind a sofa,
right.
but not for
You're
Doctor Who.
proving all my beliefs are wrong.
For the Incredible Hulk.
All right. So your sofa wasn't against the wall?
No.
All right, okay.
There must, I can't
All right,
have been.
maybe it's just because my sofa was against the wall. I assume everyone grew up the same way.
Yeah.
So London. So your friends were, they were supportive about you moving to London.
Pretty much, yeah.
And
but
how
I
did
didn't tell many people I was going to go either, though, as well.
You
It was just kind of...
You just disappeared. And they walked in your
I
house because the
didn't.
door was unlocked and they're
They
like,
didn't
where's
know-
Eleanor?
They didn't notice I
already
was gone. They,
They're still
it was
waiting for you to
quite
come back.
demoralising. Mm,
And how was your...
yeah.
So people told you it was going to be hard moving to the big city.
Yeah.
And your idea of it before you came here, how similar was that to the reality?
Yeah, no, it was pretty close, I'd say. I suppose I'm struck by how much time I spend on trains over here. And
There's a lot of travelling.
yeah.
I'm going to walk to the backyard, by the way, which is where you were last night,
Do you
right?
see where you are now? That's there was a news story the other day about this section of road in London, because underneath it there's a big ball of fat.
I thought you were going to say fire. Oh, fat, really?
Yeah,
What, 'cause of all
it's
the
stuck
curry
in the
restaurants and stuff?
sewers. I don't know where it's come from, but I remember I was reading the story, going, "Oh my God, I've probably made some
A big ball of fat in the sewer.
in the blocking up the London
Doesn't
sewer."
that happen like generally, right? But that's an especially big ball of fat.
It must, yeah. I don't know why they're doing a news story about this particular one. What's so special about it?
I remember
Let's
seeing
put
a
it
show
in its
about that.
place.
People go down, the sewers and unblock it.
Yeah.
What a job, man. There's a famous pub here, isn't there, that was like the Cray brothers shot someone.
Oh, really?
Yeah, blind beggar.
There.
Yeah.
Yeah,
one of their murders happened there, I think.
So yeah, the ball of fat maybe.
So let's
has
go
some
down. Let's
people-
walk up to the right in East London now. We'll walk to the Backyard Club.
Yeah.
Yeah, what are your favourite comedy clubs to play in London?
I really like the Backyard, and
Set up by Lee Hurst, right?
set up, and the manager of it, Danny, he let me stay on his couch for a month when I first got here and was looking for a flat.
That's great.
Yeah, he was really cool and was like, "Yeah, no, you can stay as long as you like. Don't feel under any pressure." So yeah, I was there for about a month in their flat, and gave me a couple of 10-minute spots to try and get on, and impress.
Impress him. Though.
Yeah. I had to. I wasn't getting any favors because I was, in fact, he was doing me favors, by letting me stay there. But yeah, I thought, oh my God, it's so cool here. Yeah, London. You know, I would put on Rudimental, in my headphones and.
What is Rudimental? I don't know.
Yeah, they're just a band that I kind of got into at the time. And yeah, it doesn't look very extraordinary now, but to me, it was like, this is what it's like over here. I'm so cool now that I'm here too.
Do you find the city is like, as I said before, like the travelling and stuff? I mean, the hustle and bustle and all the things that make it exciting. Do you find that stressful sometimes? I know I do. Just the stimulation of it all, you know?
Yeah, it's tiring, but I kind of get a buzz out of it as well. It's kind of like, when you go to Edinburgh. I was thinking about this when I was up in Edinburgh this time, was the like the amount of information you have to take in
Oh yeah.
over over the first 3 days. Say your brain is trying to process the same amount it would normally get in like a month.
Yeah.
So that's why time seems to kind of be a bit screwed up in your head. You're like,
yeah.
I can't believe I've only been here 3 days. It feels like 3 weeks.
No, you're right. I had the exact same thought. I had that thought just on the going to the Laughing Horse opening party on the first night, and I was like really sort of positive mood like on the train on the way out. And I went straight there, and I was just like, the sheer, like, it's great because like all the comics are there and there's so many people you know. But just, yeah, again, the overstimulation of it. You're like, oh, there's it. Because lots of people have a go at, they talk about Edinburgh Festival and they're like, oh, you're always looking over your shoulder. People, who's the next person you can talk to? And they're saying it's like very, I don't know. Do you know what I mean? But everyone's vying for each other's attention. But but it genuinely is hard when you're talking to someone, you're like, oh shit, there's that fuck it. It's unusual to be in a place with that many people you know, right?
True.
Do you know what I mean?
It is.
Like,
yeah. And that's it's quite a normal human instinct to have, to not want to fuck up your career. You know, so
but it's not even in a career way. It's more just like, shit, there's so many people, like so many people you know.
You could be doing it totally innocently, and it could be interpreted that
way.
Yeah,
exactly. And everyone feels very sensitive up there. And what I'm saying is like being on both sides of that thing.
But I kind of had that experience coming to London, first time coming to London as well. It seemed like that big overload of, just difference stuff I wasn't used to.
All right. So what else have we got on here? So this is the area you're living now, right?
Yeah. So
which is Hackney.
It's in Hackney. Yeah. It's quite new, so I don't know the area very well. That's the Kingsland Road, and I'm still finding out about it really. I'm kind of more over towards Amherst Road.
Okay.
I live in a shared house over there with 3 other really nice people. I said that like I think I'm really nice.
3 other nice people.
Yeah.
What, comics or civilians?
No, they are an artist, volunteer coordinator, and an architect.
Cool.
Yeah.
Do you chat with the architect about civil engineering?
I'm really interested in it now because from a distance it just seems so. You have the opportunity I gave up.
Well, you know, there's a scheme in comedy if you can take a break for 5 years, and if you come back.
Yeah. You were really meant to be a comic.
So if I go to Amherst Road, it'd be kind of this way, right? Is that right? Up here and to the right, kind of?
I think, no.
To the east? I thought Amherst Road was kind of...
So Amherst Road would connect Dalston to Hackney, kind of. So I think we're going straight up towards...
I think it's here, man.
Do you? You may know.
Isn't it kind of this way? I think I cycle down it sometimes.
Cool. It kind of all looks the same to me. Rectory Road. No, we're way off.
Way off, all right.
Yeah.
I don't know where I am now.
I think you're going the right direction though now. Rectory Road.
What's this?
Don't recognise.
Amherst.
Ah. Not too far off.
We might be just
then.
right at the other end of it.
Yeah.
But we don't have to look at your actual house.
All right. Yeah.
So where else?
See Hackney down
I
station.
just wanted to show you I knew where it was.
Yeah.
So and this is where you went on holiday as a kid, right?
Yeah. So that's a place called Ballinskelligs in the county of Kerry.
How do you say it?
It's called Ballinskelligs.
Oh, that's a good name.
In the county of Kerry, southwest of the country. And my parents, who I've trashed a bit on this podcast.
You haven't trashed them.
Yeah.
It made it sound like they were strict / worried about your well-being.
Great, good. I'm glad it has come across like that. So they brought us on holidays every year to this place, and when I talk about the strict upbringing, I had in Athlone, none of that applied in this location here. All of the rules were off, and we were somehow just allowed to do whatever we liked, come and go as we pleased from the house. And this was our family would go down, but so would a whole lot of other bunch of families from my hometown and other parts of the country. So all the kids would get together and hang out and do our first loads of things down here. So first drink or drugs or kiss or those things. A lot of those things happened in this particular place. So if you go left there, you're going to come down to the beach. Oh, it's so beautiful. I love it down here. So yeah, it was. We would have gotten wood and built fires on the beach down here, and maybe someone had a guitar and played.
And that was the guy you wanted to kiss, right?
Totally, the
guitar guy.
And that actually didn't happen until it happened later in life. But
what would the younger you have made of? So how old were you when you were hanging out on this beach?
That would have. There was a summer when I was 15, where, just my emotions were, a drama. I adored it. Still love going down there.
What would the younger you have made of what you're doing now?
I'd be
If you had gone there and told you that you're going to be a professional stand-up comedian.
I'd be really happy with that. I would have, because one thing I realised that I value quite a lot is courage. And that's not to say that I'm a particularly courageous person, but I really am drawn to, when I see it in another person, I just respect them so much. Yeah. But when I see it in stand-up, I see it when I really love stand-up, that I see an element of bravery. And
someone's taking risks, right?
Yeah. But
and that's the way you grow, isn't it, and get better? Yeah.
It is, but it's not the way the general public looks at stand-up.
Yeah.
They're kind of like, what worked or what was funny. You know,
I mean, yeah, comedians are very different. Because we can enjoy watching someone struggle.
Yeah,
you realise
what they were trying.
There. Yeah, exactly. And they're the most exciting ones, actually.
Yeah.
Because after a while, you get so dead to stuff that works, isn't it? You see something, that's effective, but it's not like, do you know what I mean?
Exactly. There's no jeopardy in it anymore.
Exactly. That's the word, jeopardy.
So I think I think that teenager would have had the same values, about life, and telling her I'm a comedian would have kind of matched that aspiration. Yeah,
that's brilliant.
Yeah, it's a great spot. They made are quite close by to that. There's the Skellig Rocks, and there's these rocks off the coast of Ireland, and they filmed the recent Star Wars movie was filmed there. I'm saying that because I don't know you very well, but I'm thinking you probably are into Star Wars.
I'm actually not,
Not at all.
I give off the vibe of being like a nerd. I mean, I'm doing this. This is like the nerdiest project ever. I'm a nerd without being into all the stuff.
Okay.
It's like the worst of all worlds.
So the tech, that's a lovely day now down there.
That is beautiful. Taken. Look at that.
Yeah. Yeah. The day they went to Athlone was not as sunny as that.
That is,
the Google guys.
That's gorgeous, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do you think you'll ever return to Ireland?
I think I would, but I got some kind of career stuff to work out, and I still have stuff to get out of my system.
What stuff?
Well, trying to work artistically and kind of I'm not talking about kind of be a better comedian. I think I could live down there and write, though. That would be a really nice place to.
You can imagine standing in a cottage or something and writing a novel.
Oh yeah, it'd be great. Yeah.
It's funny that, isn't it? I often think that when you see like a really idyllic place, you're like, yeah, that'd be a good place to to write a novel or something, which is weird in a way because it's not like that's still working, right?
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? But you have this idea in your head like, oh, that'll be like some romantic thing. But
Yeah, there'd be a load
but
of
then you're
pressure.
just looking at a really nice place instead of thinking, oh, I'll go on a holiday there. You're thinking, I'll do a different type of work.
I know,
in
yeah.
that place. Do you know what I mean?
You can't.
Isn't that because with comics you think you're like, I don't know, you can't. You're kind of working all the time anyway, right? In a
it's
way.
hard, yeah,
When
it's
you're
very
writing,
hard to...
when you're doing stuff autobiographically, you're kind of always working.
Yeah.
There you go, like that. Write a novel in there, perfect.
There. Yeah. Yeah. Just walk along those roads down to the beach. There's a pitch for Gaelic football.
Is there any other places you want to visit? This is the... What did you do here? This was a...
Oh, right. So this is a very small town called Athlone, and it's about 20 miles from where I showed you where I grew up. And my connection to this place is that when I was a kid, I would have been participating in a lot of athletics and running races. I was into sprinting.
So you did like cross-country running. I feel like we should click really fast.
Okay, yeah, as if I'm running
is this
through the
bringing
town.
back memories?
Yeah. Stop the pain.
You're like, why is everything pixelated?
So yeah, I was they would have held the like county finals in this particular town of Athlone, and I didn't. One particular year, I did well enough to come third in a race, which isn't very good, but to me that day I was really happy with that. But when I went and I was given a medal, but there was a complication because two people had come second. There was a joint second in the race. Happen? Yeah, I don't know.
They didn't have like a video referee.
I know. Technology. Yeah, they didn't have the technology at the time to make a distinction. So third didn't get a medal. That was, I remember a guy saying, third doesn't get a medal, so my medal got given to the second. Yeah.
That's so unfair.
And I mean, I never. That guy's face is burned in my memory. I think it's made me really fight very hard.
Yeah. That's so sad
in life. Yeah. So that was why I chose Athlone as it's a place that I don't really I don't respect that place
because of that guy that took your medal away.
Yeah.
Are you a competitive person, do you think? Are you competitive within comedy?
I think so, yeah. I mean I'm competitive with myself. I get really frustrated with myself when I mess up or don't do the best gig that I feel was possible in the circumstances.
What do you think? It's kind of a corny question, but has stand-up taught you stuff about life, do you think?
For sure, yeah. It's a really, because it's a great way to see how defensive you get in, when you're under attack, so it, and how when to let go when things are out of your control.
Oh yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah, like I would have found, I'd find, like sometimes you walk into a room and you see a crowd it's total chaos, and it's everybody's coked up, or you'd often have that situation with a crowd, or you can just kind of tell that there's a particular vibe in the room like that. But I sometimes feel like the pressure is off in those situations, because this is nothing to do with me. This people's night is nothing to do with
exactly
me.
what I mean. Yeah.
By
the type of scenario when all the comics before you've bombed.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, bombing is the default now. So it's that kind of thing. Yeah.
It's like, it was like when I was working in the nightclub in Galway, and the customers were all drunk.
Yeah.
There was no need to be professional
Yeah,
with those
yeah,
people,
yeah.
or be normal customer service rules didn't apply, because they were never going to remember it the next day
Yeah, yeah.
anyway. So I quite
I'm going
enjoyed.
to be like, I'd like to make a complaint about my Jaeger bomb.
Yeah.
It's not to my liking.
Yeah, Eleanor Tiernan didn't didn't give me the correct order. Yeah, well, deal with it.
So I say, let's visit your. I just want to go back to your home again.
Sure.
Where is this?
There's
your
more
home?
in this. I think we were in Galway.
That's
there.
your home. There we go. The planet Earth.
Yeah. Back there, yeah. This is the back roads. This is all new stuff. This has all been built since I. This is the Celtic Tiger thing that I mentioned earlier, with when all the money came into the country. This stuff would have been all built then. So yeah, we're going back to lanes.
So back in your hometown, if you could talk to your younger self, if you saw young Eleanor Tiernan walking on there, what advice would you give her? Except for ignore the potholes.
I would say relax and enjoy the moment, and don't worry so much about things. Is that what everyone?
Not necessarily. No.
Would say. Yeah, and try and use the opportunities. You're going to study engineering, and you don't have to stick at it, but it's not awful either. It's not an attack on you either. The whole engineering industry. Yeah, I would have thought that was really, boring place to grow up.
Did you think that when you were a kid living there?
Yeah, I would have. Yeah, I would have thought. Well, yeah, there was nothing. It was very sports dominated. Being good at sports was like how you got status in the community. And my brother was really good at Gaelic football. So a lot of our family's activity was just looked at through that lens of him. People would ask me questions about his. I'd meet them and they'd say, "What is John? How's his ankle? Is he going to be fit for the match on Sunday?" This kind of because it's amateur as well. It's like people feel so invested, like he's doing it for them. Well, he's doing it for his own enjoyment, but it's quite a. It just has such meaning in our community at home. It's it's hard for other things, being good at other skills.
And how was that? Was there a competitive thing there with your brother?
I think probably, yeah. I think he was probably so there's 3 years between us, and he would have been quite annoyed by me. I think because I was probably quite good at school and compliant, and he came along and things didn't come as easily for him, and he was being compared to, he had this exemplary person who had gone ahead of him. So it would have been really he would have hated being compared to me, I'm sure. So he went and he fought really hard and got really good at sport, and he turned the tables on me in that way. That was more of a because he saw what was of value to people. While I was kind of stuck in the books.
What's he doing now? What does he make of you doing comedy?
He's great. Yeah, he lives in Australia. He lives in Melbourne.
Yeah.
He's a school teacher over there, and he's started playing a bit of Aussie rules.
Oh, okay.
Over there.
Yeah, he's still doing that.
Yeah. But he's he's turned out a lot calmer. His life he's great.
Australia will do that to you. Australia will do that to you.
Yeah.
Cool. I think we can wrap up there, unless there's any other places you want to visit.
I don't think so. There was a lot more in that stuff than I realised. It's nice to be made think of things. Yeah.
I think we can wrap up there.
Great.
So that was it. We can zoom out. So that was it. That was Dave Green's Street View Show. I've been Dave Green. She's been Eleanor Tiernan. Let's zoom out and look at the world. So that's it. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. And I'll see you again next time on Dave Green's Street View Show.